I am becoming God's prodigy. I am becoming God's prodigy.
Hello and welcome back to Becoming God's Prodigy, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm hoping that you'll be transformed through this journey. If you're looking for a place just to get closer to God, just transform your mind, transform your heart, you're in the right place. We'll be having a special guest on today. I'm so excited about it. And we just want to talk about just Jesus and our testimony through faith, our testimony through just mental health, all things. So I introduce to you Miss Q Essence Little.
Hi guys, I'm Q Essence, also known as Q Little.
So today we just want to spend a little bit of time speaking about faith and mental health. And I feel like it's a topic that is a little bit taboo to speak about to some people, not to me. I want to kind of get your perspective on how you align faith and mental health.
Okay. So mental health is definitely something really big in my life, especially now. Earlier on in my life, when I was about 17 years old, is when depression started for me. So
That's so young.
yes, exactly. And not really, I knew God, but I didn't know God for myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like you
I
kind of
knew-
like know about him, like, you know, I believe in God. Like,
Exactly.
you know, like kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I believed in him 100%, but I didn't know him for myself. So
Yeah.
going through something so tough at that age specifically, it's kind of just like, okay, what do I do now? Like you just feel so alone, even if you have a ton of people around you, just because if you don't have a relationship with God, I feel like that's the foundation to everything.
Yeah, no,
Literally.
it is. And it's like, when I think about just faith and mental health, it's like, I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I'm a huge advocate for therapy and just knowing yourself. And you know, like, obviously, yes, Jesus, he will deliver, he will heal, but sometimes it takes a little bit of like self-work.
For sure.
And not feeling like enclosed in your own mind,
And
if that makes any sense.
Nonetheless, the self-work, you have to go through something to really feel something. Yeah. You have to, and I feel like that's the part most people don't talk about. And for me, like I said, when I was 17, when depression started for me, that's when I started to learn Jesus for myself. Like right around that time. It didn't take me long at all to learn him for myself. But baby, you gotta go through
you know
something.
that saying, like, you just keep living, just keep
Girl.
living, you know. But
Okay.
like 17, that is really young, and I'm just kind of thinking about. Well, do you want to share like what was going on at that time, like that sent you into that spiral?
Sure.
Or?
Yeah. So, I had an unplanned pregnancy. So I had an abortion at 17 years old. And that alone can take a toll on anybody. It doesn't matter how old you are, especially when you don't see a baby in your future and, you know, life is just happening. So that
unexpected and you're young.
Exactly. And that was my senior year. So it was just a lot. And that same year, my dad kind of like stepped out of my life a little bit. So it was a lot going on. It was just me, my mom, and my little brother, for real. We was just rocking with it. Yeah.
And I want to say, like, before you get too far in, to all of the listeners and viewers, like, even, I know we're talking about mental health and how that is a taboo subject, but I think even with your testimony about the unplanned pregnancy and the abortion, like, it is okay. You can still know Jesus. Things happen. God's not going to condemn you. Does he not like it? Yeah, sure. Like, just like a lot of all the other sins that we participate in. 100%. But if that is your story and if that is your testimony, don't think that God will never be able to love you or he's shunned away from you because of that. And I just really want to say that because it's really like on my heart and spirit to say, like, because I feel like a lot of people are like, well, I can't even forgive myself for this. How can God forgive me for this? Like, God has already forgiven you. And I just want to say that before we get too far in, because that was really like on my spirit to say. So your dad was kind of like taking a little step back.
Yeah, it was fresh for my parents' divorce. So when I say he stepped out of my life, that's kind of what it aligned with. So yeah, the pregnancy, he stepped out of my life, and then I couldn't finish high school because I had so much going on. Like I just wasn't in a good place mentally. So that caused me to have to go get my GED, which most people don't know that. I feel like when people see me, they just see like a pretty girl. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yes, I am that. Okay, don't get me wrong, but it's just like it's so much more to it. And to the people that's also pretty or, you know, don't feel as pretty and they're going through these things, it's just like it has nothing to do with who you are. Well, it has everything to do with who you are, but it doesn't define you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
not
just
only
like
who you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about too, like, you know, 17 is young, right? And then just kind of like those things, like just how were you incorporating your faith to like help you deal with that? Or was it you weren't and then down the line, like what did that look like?
Yeah, so when all of that was going on, like a little bit shortly after that, I had actually planned my death, right? It was tough. I was suicidal, like it was really bad. Like literally the week that I did plan my death, my grandma, she's just like, something ain't right. You know, like Q, something just ain't right with Q. And her mom was kind of
please no, because I'm just like, oh my goodness, like because you just never know what people are going through. And I know like we've pretty much grown up together, like we've always been close, but like I didn't even like know until after, of course, like the fact, and I don't even know that it was even soon after. Like, you know what I mean? And just to like think about, you just don't ever know what your people, y'all check on y'all people.
For real.
Okay?
For real.
Okay? Like, Jesus saves, but still, like, you know, check on your people, check on you, like, check on your mind. Like, I just can't even imagine, like, you know, all these years, like, because, well, I ain't gonna put our age out there. But 17 was a little while ago.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay, we're not that old. But I mean, it was like 10 years ago. And I'm like, 10 years of memories, 10 years of like laughter and like just the enemy. Yeah. Just the enemy trying to take like your lowest and darkest moments and use it for his own. Like, I'm disgusted. Girl. And I'm just, it makes me sad. It really does. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Tell your story.
No, you're good. You're good. So that week that, you know, I was planning to do that. Yeah. My grandma and my mom both, they were just like, something wasn't right. And for some reason, I don't know, I had to go to my grandma's house, and she had me on the phone with her pastor. And she's just like, something ain't right, something ain't right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they know. They be knowing for sure.
The pastor.
Girl, listen. So she called him. We talked on the phone a little bit, but, you know, at the time, it didn't really mean much because it was so much that I was going through. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus as it was, so it was kind of just like, okay,
like we're doing all this for what?
Yeah. So I did decide. I went home and I prayed, and my mom came to me and she just hugged me. Yeah. And like it just felt so, I don't even know how to explain it, but literally in that moment, it was just like, okay, like everything is okay. Yeah. Like it just.
And I think you should give yourself a little more credit too about like, you know, you're saying like, I didn't know God, but you, even after all of that, right? And then just like feeling like, what y'all doing all this for? Like, you know, you said, I went home and I prayed. Like, you knew what to do. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even that is a testament into itself. It's just like, you know, if you don't feel close to God, and sometimes that's the reality of it. And I think that a lot of times, and another reason I wanted to really, you know, have this podcast is because we don't get to see the bad and the ugly, really, in my opinion. Like, I feel like you don't really get to have these kinds of conversations surrounded by salvation and God. You don't really get to see the bad and the ugly when it comes. It's always, oh, God has been great. God has been good. Oh, honey, you know, saved by the blood. You know, like, it's always like, oh, nothing's happening in the background. We only want to see the glory of God, but glory of God can be even in the valley.
Right.
Like, you know,
100%,
like,
yeah.
you know, and I know we were talking about on the last segment with the last guest about, you know, just sharing your testimony, and our testimonies are not all glory.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so if
Right.
every time I talk to you, all you're talking about is, oh, you know, the Lord closed that door and opened me a new one, you know, like you ain't never talking about
like, let's talk for real.
Let's have a real conversation, like what's really going on, like, you know. So I'm so happy to be able to have a real conversation.
Yes,
I
we
like,
love real
husband,
conversations,
yeah.
honey. That's all we do.
Not real, then we don't want it.
Okay.
No, but seriously, we need to normalize the conversation around just mental health and incorporating it into our faith and how it's okay to do that. Yeah. Like, you know, and it's okay to go to therapy, and it's okay to go to the altar. Like, you know, and it's okay, like, you know, just kind of, and it's okay if you have to be on medicine, because that's another thing. People are like, well, I don't want to go to therapy because I don't want to be on medicine.
Do what works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said it better, sister.
Literally.
Yeah. Do what works for you, and like stop caring about what other people think, honestly. And I think that if we understood, and I hate to even say this, but like I kind of am like, if you think that Jesus doesn't want you in therapy doing self-work, then I'm like, do you know God?
Right.
He wants you to be your best self. Like, and that's the thing, y'all don't beat me up, because I know how y'all like to do. Don't beat me up, please. Yeah. But it's just like, you have to know the nature of God. You have to know the heart of God. And he wants what's best for us. And sometimes that means we need to go sit on somebody's couch and pour it out, because we don't have, seek counsel. Seek it from your ministers. Seek it from your therapist. You know, seek it from your pastor, whoever, you know, seek it from your friends. If they walking right now.
I don't know about that, actually.
They're walking right now. Say that one with a grain of salt. But, you know, just normalize it. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's not talked about enough when you mention therapy, because when some people think of therapy and Jesus in the same sentence, they're like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's like you're putting your faith in something else. No, my faith is still in Jesus.
We have to do the work too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, we can pray, but we also have to do the work. You know,
because faith without works is what? Dead. Exactly. The work. Not cut it.
But I feel like when it comes to Black people specifically and therapy is kind of non-existent, and that scares me. Especially in today's time where depression and anxiety is attacking us so hard. Badly. It's like the devil knows. He knows that that's one of our weak areas, and he's coming after it. And it's like I said, Jesus in therapy in one sentence is usually scary, but we need that.
We do. And I think, just to speak about a little bit more, especially just in our culture, it's like, at some point we have to, because a lot of people, I feel like, and then this is strictly my feelings, my thoughts, I feel like they don't want to go to therapy, or they think that it's something, I don't know, I can't really speak.
It's like a pride thing.
Yeah. But also too, I feel like it's an education thing too, especially in our community, because, you know, back in the day, they didn't really believe in that kind of stuff. Oh, ain't nothing wrong with you. You know, just pray about it. We can pray this stuff up off of you. And you can. You can. But, you know, even in the midst of it, let's try to get down to what the root is, so that I'll have even more to pray about and ask God to, you know, help me as I'm doing this work. Like, you know, it's just not always, and you have to think about your day-to-day, like, and yes, you need to be praying daily, you need to be reading your Bible daily too, but you, like, if you're in a space where you don't even know where the issues are rooted in deep, and don't get me wrong, God will speak to you about it, but sometimes you just need to hear another perspective. You need to be able to have some insight to apply to your day-to-day life. That's just how I feel about it. And that's not to take any credit from God, because he's still God Almighty. Yeah, but I also feel like, you know, there is nothing wrong with it, but I think it's an education piece in our culture, or lack thereof, where it's something's wrong with it, or like you said, pride and ego, or
and to just kind of
like
piggyback off of it. It's also like that narrative of strong and black.
Oh, yes. Please don't put me in that
Please,
category.
I don't want to be strong no more.
Well, I ain't gonna say that.
No, help me. Help me.
But
Give
no,
me
for
help.
real.
You know
Like,
what I'm
for
saying?
real,
Like,
help me. Don't put that strong on me and that's another thing because I feel like we get overlooked because we're strong.
We're strong.
We're strong. And so, what possibly could you be struggling with because you're so, you're always so strong. I don't have to worry about you because you always, and it's like, wait, no, but I'm fighting battles silently.
You're still human.
Like, like it's just
that
is
narrative.
such a good point.
It just needs to be
thrown out the window. Throw it out
somewhere. Yeah,
send it on over.
Like it's just, and it's sad.
Yeah,
because when you really think about it, it's like so many things get looked past because we're strong. You know what I'm saying? So many people
are suffering in silence. Is what's really sad to me. Thinking that it's something wrong with going to therapy, or that they're embarrassed about going, or I don't know that God's gonna be mad. I don't know what it is, but it's just it's so many narratives out there, and I'm like, the only real narrative that y'all need to be understanding is that go to therapy. Right. You know, you get you some good
God
insurance.
Wants that for you. Honey.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like He wants you to be well naturally and spiritually, and I think if we can grasp that, then we'll be able to grasp the concept that it is okay to serve God and to go to therapy.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's
get
nothing
you a
wrong
therapist.
with it. Exactly. Because everything ain't sinful, y'all. Let's just go ahead and say let me just go ahead and say that. And some of the stuff that we be calling sin ain't sin. Right. And some of the stuff we ought to be calling sin, y'all don't want to talk about. So I just like go to therapy. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about anxiety. I just kind of feel like pretty much what you said, like anxiety and depression are like huge factors in our community that's not talked about, and just in general. I think when most people think mental health, they think anxiety and depression. Not that that's all that there is, because we know that it's not. But I just think that those are two of the most common that are kind of overlooked because it comes in many different forms, I guess.
For sure, yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. And like, well, when I was in therapy, and
what you saying was like you're not anymore.
No. Well, okay. I'm speaking about a session.
Oh, okay,
I'm still in therapy, y'all. Don't clock me, please. Not a read. When I was in this therapy session, okay, with my therapist that I'm actively still in therapy with, guys, okay? We were talking about, I was just sharing some things with her, and I don't even remember specifically what I was sharing with her, but she said, "Do you have anxiety?" I'm like, "Girl, no. I don't have no anxiety, okay? Yeah. Now, don't get carried away." And she's like, "No, it sounds like you have anxiety." And it kind of blew my mind because when I think about anxiety, I think about, I don't know, I just kind of feel like you're kind of like your thoughts are rushed, like you can't like
you're just like
that's what I think about. And she's like, and I told her that, and she's like, "No, it doesn't have to look like that,
right? And
it doesn't have to be like you have anxiety all the time, like you're just an anxious person." Yeah, and that blew my mind, and I'm like, "Oh wait." Do I have anxiety?
Right.
Do I have anxiety?
Yeah, it makes you start to question, like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh, actually, I think that I might have a little anxiety going on here. But if she didn't, and I was so like on the defense about it too. I'm like, girl, no, I ain't paying you for these kinds of I ain't paying you for these kinds of opinions now. I mean, I am, but you're getting a little too carried away. Like, you know, I was kind of offended, and I'm like, now I don't have no anxiety. Like, girl, leave me alone. Yeah. Like, but I'm like, oh, wait, actually.
Like,
because
okay.
It is okay. And that's something I had to tell myself, too. And my family's pretty open about mental health, and they're like, welcoming to it. Like, my sister's a therapist, for crying out loud. Like, you know, like, they're open to it, but it's just, like, the idea of, like, it being you, right? It's like hard to come to terms with, and then also to me being ignorant in the fact of thinking that it has to look this way. Yeah. And so I'm just like, oh yeah, I might have a little of that going on. And I want to say too, like, y'all don't get caught up in because I don't know, it just dropped in my spirit just now, like, oh, I'm not claiming that over my life. I'm not claiming anxiety over my life, but I'm recognizing it so that I can be delivered from it. So let's be very clear about that, okay? Yeah. because you have to, and that's another reason too that y'all need to get in therapy. Okay, don't beat me up, but but y'all need to get in therapy because you recognize things about yourself, and that's a little bit about what
it's scary.
It is.
Scary.
But then you know how to pray, and you know how to ask for
100%.
deliverance, and you know what the sources are, like But I think it just looks different for everybody because I mean my anxiety doesn't look like your anxiety,
right? Yeah. And for me, I'm about to trauma dump a little bit.
Okay.
Here we are. So my anxiety first started after my abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So this was a couple of years ago. Don't think I ever suffered with anxiety.
Yeah.
But after my abusive relationship, it was just like that.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
It's traumatic.
Yeah. And I was about to say exactly that. Like after a situation happened, you don't realize how quickly it can affect you. Like I had no clue until my first anxiety attack. But I knew instantly that it was from the relationship. Because of how it all happened. But yeah.
So do you still like struggle? Like tell me a little bit about like how you deal with your anxiety now, like and how you just incorporate God into you finding your path and your way to be healed. And I'm like I said, we were identifying, what we're going through so that we can be healed and delivered by God from it. So in what ways have you sought God for it, and what does that look like?
Yeah. So in my specific situation, after my abusive relationship, I kind of lost myself.
Yeah.
And for me, I just felt unworthy. Just all the things, like the confidence wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the things.
Yeah.
And those specific situations don't really affect me anymore, but the anxiety is still there. I'm still working through it.
Right.
And like you said, it shows up in so many different ways. And you just, without my therapist, girl.
Yeah.
Like I would think that it's normal.
Yeah.
Like me going through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels normal, which is.
Someone shared their testimony with me, and they were saying how they thought that the anxiety attacks that they were having were normal. It's something that everyone kind of experienced until they realized that it wasn't. Yeah. And that's just even more. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I mean, if it's dead, it ain't feeling it no way. So, but I'm just like therapy, and obviously believe God. And for me, now that I have recognized it a bit, whereas, from my therapist pointing it out to me, it's just like, okay, God, well, what can I do in what areas of my life would you like for me to kind of like hone in on, like, so that it can be addressed, so that I can kind of see like, why is this like that? Then what do I need to develop more patience?
Right.
Because that's biblical too. Let's talk about it. Like, like, is it something that I can do better to help progress and be delivered? Because and not that it can't happen for people, because miracles do happen, but like we said in the beginning, like it's work. It's work.
Yeah.
It's work. It's work.
Right.
It's work.
Yeah. And on top of that, knowing, like pinpointing the problem, it helps you know exactly how the devil is attacking you in the moment when he is. Because literally a situation here recently, something so small happened, but it made me upset. I can't lie. It did make me very upset. And from that one negative emotion, it went on to well, maybe I'm not worthy. You know what I'm saying? You see how that one...
Yeah, Bishop just talk about something
Yes,
like this.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that one thing, and it's like a snowball effect, right? Like, and I think too, it's like knowing yourself enough also, and then you also got to know God enough too, so that you can be prepared for the tricks of the enemy, because he will. And if you let it, like, that's why you just got to go ahead and call the enemy a lie right then and there, because that's exactly what he is. Because he will, like, if one little thing, one attack, and it will have you in that snowball effect. Am I even worthy of this? Like, well, do they even really like me like that?
Yes,
like, you know,
then,
like,
you start thinking about crazy things.
Yes, like, who am I to think that I can do this?
Exactly,
like, you know, when the Lord already done told you to do it. Like, you know what I mean?
The craziest things.
Yeah, it's something. And I think also it's just like doing the work now, like, and just recognizing your weak points so that God can make us stronger, and then also so that we can suit up and fight this devil, because he just don't get tired. But recognizing that, it's gonna not only will I feel like even in your relationships, your friendships, like all these things, right? It's just one of those things that you can't go wrong with. Like, and when I think about often like my children, you know, and just so much. And for so long, not many people know this. I don't even know you know this, which is crazy. Yeah, I know, I know. But for so long, I was scared to like have children, right? Like, I don't have no kids, y'all.
Why?
Because of like just I'm not gonna cry. Just like my childhood and like, you know, just the parenting style that I saw before. Like,
so
I
didn't want to like
pass that
on
to them. And that's another like motivator for me to go to therapy. Like, and you know, it's also a motivator too for me to continue, like, you know, strengthening my walk and my relationship with God, because it's like I want to be my best self. And when I went to therapy, my very first session, she said, "Why are you here?" And I said, I just want to be the best me. Right. Like, I literally just want to be the best me. And I know sometimes I can be a whole lot. I can be a whole lot. But it had me even to the point that I was scared. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to have kids, because I don't want to. I'm scared that I inherit some of these traits in these things, which what now I know they're kind of learned behaviors. Like, it's not genetic. Like, you know what I mean? Some of the things that I was experiencing.
Also the devil.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So I just think about like my children, and I'm like, I don't want to pass trauma down to them.
Right.
I don't want to be, and I want to be whole. Like, for even like when I get married, you know, I'm aspiring to be a wife.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, when I get married, I want to be whole. Right. I want to be a whole person. I want him to be a whole person, so that we can unite and be whole people, like, to be one.
Right.
Like, you know, like I want to make sure that I'm in a great space mentally, and I'm addressing things that I have just buried. And I think also too, therapy helps you pull out those things that, you know, like that's way back that you didn't even think about that were back there. And then how can you be even praying about it? This is where Jesus come in. So y'all see how Jesus and therapy go together. Like, if you're not, you don't even know that it's back there.
Right.
Like, it helps me kind of like dig deeper into myself so that I can be the best me.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah, you can also get a Christian-based therapist.
While
we're talking about
you gotta talk about
Mine is, if y'all need her number.
Yeah.
I keep looking at, if y'all need her number, hit me up. Hit me up.
Okay, actually, don't hit her up. But you can find a therapist out there now, you know. You know, drop it in the comments or something. You know, no, we got you. We got you covered. So. Not call me. Do you have any like motivators? I know what I do for me, like how I just said, but those things kind of like drive me. Is that just me? Or?
No, definitely not. I think my motivation, well, I know my motivation is my little brother. I want to be better for him, even though he's grown up now.
I know.
But I want him to see better. You know what I'm saying? Not saying he doesn't with anybody else, but
to be one more example.
For sure when he looks for his big sister or calls on his big sister, I can give him a healthy response no matter what it is he has done or not done.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just want to be that person for him. Also the women that I'm called to help.
Yeah.
Also my wonderful, wonderful boyfriend.
Okay. Hey, brother.
He deserves the best woman, and I'm gonna be that woman because
girl, no, but okay, and that's the one, because, and I think about that too, because I'm just like, this is a good man.
Yeah.
You know, this is a good man. And you don't want to, and not to say that you're the problem or I'm the problem.
Right.
But you want to be your best self because you're just like, oh, this man just is so good. Like, I want to give him the best of me.
Literally.
Like, you know what I mean?
And if you
like,
can be that, why not
why
be
not?
that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to be happy to see me.
Okay.
Yeah. You say you got the best girl in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you do.
Period.
Yeah,
So for him and our kids, whenever we do have them, like you said, that's major. Like, I don't think some people understands the importance of doing the work now. Like you said, like you have to do the work now.
Yeah, because you don't, I just feel like you don't want to, especially with kids. This is how my mind thinks, right? I'm very type A, right? And I got to be in control of everything. And we learning about that in therapy. We are.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. But I think about it, it's like you don't want to realize that you're passing down trauma once you've already committed the action and you can see the effects of it on the child. Like, I want to realize what is trauma now that I don't want to pass down, so that when an opportunity presents itself, am I going to choose a healthy response or am I going to choose a trauma response?
Right.
You know, like, it's important. And I think about that too. And I remember seeing on social media, on Facebook, or I don't know if it was some social media platform.
We got it.
Right. But like on the reel, it was like a cup of like a dark liquid. I'm not sure what it was. And then like a lighter liquid. And like as you poured and poured and poured, it was like pretty much speaking about like breaking generational curses or like generational trauma. And it was like, you know, the dark pouring into the light. And I think about that often. And then like when it kind of got to the end, like once you were like doing the work and it was clearing out, it was like, oh, okay, no more trauma to be, or generational curses to be passed on. And I'm like, that's how I want to be, because, you know, like, I wasn't always afforded the opportunity to not have the trauma passed down. So it's like, let me be the one that stops the trauma from being passed down. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you know, and it's just one of those things where, if you don't have any other motivation to do it for anyone or anything else, do it for yourself.
Literally.
Like, literally do it for yourself. It's the best thing and therapy has been the best outlet for me, just because I feel like people have a lot going on, whether they're talking about it or not. And I'm the type of person that it's like, I don't want to. I told you this. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be bringing my problems. I know people got stuff going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. But in therapy, it's like, literally, that's what they're there for. Yeah. So then you just have, like, you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to feel like you can't say anything because someone's, and I do that a lot. I'm like comparing, like, people's trauma and stuff. And I'm like, oh, God, I scuffed my shoe today and I wasn't happy about it. Like, you know, not something that superficial, but it's like in comparison to what other people are going through, it's just like, oh, well,
and it's
don't
unfair
complain.
for you.
Because
you still have to feel
right. And so I think, you know, therapy has really like helped me with that. And obviously it's some things that I like prayed about too, but sometimes you just need to know that it's okay. Like, it's okay to have these thoughts. It's okay to have these feelings. Like, it's human. It's natural. Because I think sometimes we just kind of like demonize a lot of things, and then we just kind of like beat ourselves up about being human. And you just need to have someone to just kind of say, you're human. And I just think that it's so important to just remember that it's a process, it's work. And oftentimes I feel like we just look for instant gratification and like the miracles to happen without doing the work. Right? So like that just goes back to what we said earlier. Do the work. Do the work. And it's okay to do the work in therapy and in the sanctuary. Y'all just remember that if you are struggling with anxiety, you're struggling with depression, any kind of mental health issue, turn to Jesus. Find a friend, find a therapist. Most importantly, turn to Jesus. But cast all of your cares into the Lord. We know it. Or we know the scripture. He wants us to be freed from it. Get help, and it's okay. God is going to make a way. It's healing in his name. And I thank all of you so much for joining us today. Let's continue to grow together. I hope that you've been encouraged. Love you guys. Bye.
Complete, I am becoming God's prodigy.